Good morning. Good morning. Have you ever had a thought process that you wanted to talk about and then you don't get a chance to do it? That's kind of where I was this morning. I've had things going through my mind that I think are going to be so useful and practical. And I'm hoping beyond hope that once I start talking about the topic, that all of those wonderful nuggets of wisdom will come out in this video. So I've been giving some thought to the fact that I grew up with anxiety. Mine started in first grade and I struggled with it for 30 years. It really wreaked havoc on me. There's one piece that I can see as a contrast to how we manage anxiety in our society today. What that is the fact that I put on a facade. I hid what I was feeling. I put myself together. I was a mess inside. In fact, I used to write poetry. I probably could still get something out there. And I remember that being the title of one of my poems, I'm a mess inside. What that meant was I was riddled with stress and worry, and I was consumed by it, and I was making decisions that affected, whether I was comfortable or not. Nobody knew that on the outside except my mom, which always frustrated me because I could be feeling not so great and I'd be working so hard to try and hide it, and my mom would still be able to pick up on it, and that drove me crazy. I hesitated on starting this video. I have a little drop off here, so just pause for a minute. I'm going to keep the video running. I didn't think this one through because now I have to text a friend of mine that I just left a little medicine ball on her doorstep because she's not feeling great. But I'm realizing if I stop to text, I'm not going to be able to finish my thought here. So long story short, my method was hiding my anxiety. Today, though, we notice there's a lot of awareness surrounding mental health. People talk about it. And that's not a bad thing, but I'm just noticing that there's a contrast. Like I said, there's a contrast to the fact that, when I was growing up and prior to that, people still had these, I'll call them mental ailments, but it wasn't talked about nearly as much. And though I do think that there's a benefit to talking about things and not holding them in, I also think that it's a very fine line, because when you talk about something, it becomes then a reality that I'm having a hard time discerning how to word this. Essentially, what happens is those ailments then start defining us, and it kind of can put you in a box. And here's a light bulb moment that's literally occurring as I speak. I was also in a box when I was managing anxiety privately, but a social box honestly could be a little bit harder because I still was showing up to my day-to-day life. I couldn't use anxiety as an excuse, I use that word lightly, as an excuse not to do things, because I was really trying not to let people know that I was struggling. And here's some hindsight. God has healed my anxiety. In fact, my major trigger was always vomit. I still don't like it, but it used to like throw me into this, I couldn't eat for a month if somebody around me was sick. So I know that I've been around people who have been sick recently, and I was actually just marveling at the fact that I was still able to drink and enjoy my coffee, and I was still able to eat meals, and I know that that's coming from a place of being healed. I do speak very openly about my anxiety now because it's the past, but like I said, I hid it when it was happening. So I don't know if there's any perspective or wisdom that could really help you with this thought process, but I'm just observing the contrast between hidden anxiety. We're using anxiety as an example there. You could use it with many other things. A difference between hidden anxiety and open anxiety, where if you're in a box socially, and for instance, you know, I know anxiety makes it really hard to do things. Showing up to work, for instance, it's really hard to do that when you're not feeling well. There's something to be said, though, about understanding your true limits. Now, I'm not talking about the threshold of discomfort. There is a necessity to push through some level of discomfort to then move to a level of success. I'm using these words very loosely to try and build the concept here, but ultimately, anxiety has potential to completely cripple your life. And it did, in a way, do that to my childhood. Knowing what I know now, anxiety is only as powerful as you allow it to be. And with that said, I've used the term exposure therapy in the past. In other words, you're going to do the thing that makes you a little uncomfortable. I'm not telling you to do a dangerous thing, though, because we are designed to have some hesitation in us. But what anxiety does is it's exemplified, and it turns into a stronger monster in your life than it really deserves to be. And so this is just kind of layer by layer. You can look at the big picture of how much you'll allow your anxiety to take from you, to steal from you. Because that's kind of what it does. It tries to steal what you have in your life. It needs to be kept in check. That's the bottom line. It needs to be kept in check. You are very capable of squashing it. It's not easy, and it definitely can't be done on your own. I won't take credit for my healed anxiety. I know for a fact that God used it for His glory, because now I've seen both sides. I've seen the unbelievably dark sides of anxiety and bouts of depression, which those two tend to go hand in hand, unfortunately. But I've also seen the miraculous recovery from it, and now I can speak from that perspective and have compassion for the perspective of the suffering. And so it's actually a big gift, and I talk about it this way, and I hope that it's understandable, because you know, when it's up here sometimes you're like, but that's all I have for today. So I think I'm just going to pause with that, chew on it, think about it, and maybe something small will change for you today as a result of this perspective. I hope it does. Have a great day.